Howdy, and welcome to the Highline Herd podcast, where stories ride strong and the bond between folks and their horses runs deep. Each Sunday, we're talking everything from trail tips and tack to good old horse sense and the people who live it every day. Keep up with the herd by following us over on Instagram at the Highline Herd and swinging by our website at thehighlineherd.com. Now, let's ride into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Highline Herd. I'm Skylar.
And I'm Shelby.
And today we're going to be talking about campground etiquette when with horses. Specifically with horses, not just, normal campgrounds and stuff like that.
No, we're not here to talk about normal people. We're here to talk about the people who choose a rather expensive hobby.
Exactly. Now, Shelby and I, we recently went on a camping trip at one of our, go-to campgrounds in Hocking Hills. And in our previous episode, we kind of talk about a Tales from the Trails episode, some of our experiences on the trail itself. And we just wanted to sit and talk about things that people don't really talk about. Like, what do you do? How do you act? What do you do with your horse at the campgrounds? How do you interact with other people and their horses?
Yeah, and this was kind of inspired by the campground we really like to go to and stay at in Hocking Hills has changed management a couple of times now.
Yes.
And they recently have their most recent manager is very much a horse person.
Yeah.
Very much understands everything that goes into it. And unfortunately, they've lost a lot of business because of the previous management. So It kind of inspired us to kind of go through and kind of talk about, how you act at a campground, whether there are horses there, whether you're a horse person or a non-horse person, because it is getting harder and harder to find horse-only campgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
Horse-only bridle trails. So we kind of figured this episode we'd help kind of explain how to merge the two worlds.
Yes, because there's a lot of conflicts when combining horse people and non-horse people. It's just things that folks don't know or don't understand or they were never taught.
Right, and it absolutely boils down to the world is shrinking and we need to learn to work together, not have such a massive divide.
Yeah.
We all want to see the state parks. We all want to be able to go out in nature and enjoy it. We all want to be able to camp without the hustle and bustle of, cities and towns and roads.
We all want that escape.
Yeah, but we've got to be able to share.
Yes.
We've got to be able to do it together.
Yes. I've noticed, at least in recent years, and because of working at said campground for so many years, I saw a lot of entitlement in the horse community of like, well, we should have this. This is our campground. This is ours. This is that. This is that. And it's that type of mentality that is ultimately hurting horse people.
It absolutely is. So this is a big thing. We were talking about campground etiquette. One of the big things you should do if you are camping, clean up after your animal, whether it's your dog, your horse, or maybe you have a traveling cat.
Mm-hmm.
Clean up after your animals. If you use a stall, clean the stall. If your horse knocks stuff out of the trailer, clean up the gravel, clean up the walkway.
Please.
When we talk about entitlement, we talk about people, who think, oh, well, I paid for the stalls, so they should clean up after me.
Yeah.
No, they're in the process of doing so many other things to keep that campground nice and usable for you.
Yes.
If a campground has wash bays, a shower house, an arena, all of that takes maintenance and time and money. And if they have to clean stalls after every single camper leaves,
it's rough.
They can't maintain everything to the same extent. Especially when it's a campground that may be having 100-something stalls full.
Yeah.
They can't go through and clean 100 stalls.
No.
And even think about all the boarding barns. You're currently working at one. Mm-hmm. How many stalls are there and how many stall cleaners do they have?
Yeah. It's a lot. You have to take into consideration. And honestly, let me take a step back and just sum it down to one phrase that the national parks use all the time. Whatever you take in, you bring back out. You leave the area that you're in better than how you found it.
Yes, cleaner than how you came.
Yep.
And, that applies whether you're riding on the trails and you stop to take a break, you stop to have a snack. It applies to if you want to go down the trails drinking beer. No one cares. Clean up your beer cans.
Don't drop them on the trail. I cannot tell you, working at the state park, how many times I would just go out on my free time and then I'd be riding the trail and I see water bottles, plastic bags, beer cans, beer bottles. There was a couple of those. Like, you name it. Just all this junk and trash. It's so disheartening, especially
really
for
is.
us. Like,
and again, it's just entitled. You don't own the earth.
No.
You don't own the land. And just because you paid for something doesn't mean you can abuse it.
No. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you paid for the site. That doesn't mean you trash it. That doesn't mean you leave garbage bags everywhere. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you leave manure everywhere. If your horse dug a hole, because some campgrounds are primitive, you highline or hitching rail them. Mm-hmm. If your horse dug a hole, do your best to fill it back in. Like, leave the area better than you found it. And that is the number one part of campground etiquette, camping etiquette, trail riding etiquette. Leave where you went better than how you found it. There should be, leave no trace.
Yes.
That is probably the best phrase to sum everything up.
Yeah.
Leave no trace that you were there.
We have to take care of the environment, but we especially have to take care of the few horse campgrounds that are left, because it is dwindling, the number of them out there.
It is. And I can tell you a big reason, because I'm seeing the same thing happen with boarding barns.
Yep.
A big reason is rising entitlement, rising costs.
Yeah.
It is no longer worth it for owners, managers to put in so much time and effort in return for nothing.
Yeah.
For constantly having to clean up after people that couldn't care less about what you're doing day to day.
Yeah.
Constantly catering to people who are just demanding nonsense things. Mm-hmm. Like you and your horse are camping somewhere. You're staying somewhere overnight. You are not paying someone to clean your stall. Your payment for that spot is for that spot. It's not for a hand and foot waiting service. Mm-hmm. It's not for a maid. It's not for a groom. You are in charge of your items, your horses, your hygiene, your cleanliness, all of it.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if you're staying at a campground or you're at a boarding facility. Be respectful to the managers. Understand the amount of work, time, and money that goes into maintaining those campgrounds to that same level. Mm-hmm. To maintaining the trails to be as nice as they are. Yeah. Understand the amount of work that is being put into these places so you have this opportunity. Getting to ride, getting to camp is not a right. Mm-hmm. It is a privilege. And this isn't just us, speaking from no experience. We've seen what happens when people are grateful and appreciative. Mm-hmm. Things stay around. People want to work, Horse people come together and, groups of two totally different two strangers, groups that have never crossed paths before, can get along and have a party and just be cool.
Yeah.
But people that are constantly demanding things and, criticizing everything, they don't have friends. Mm-hmm. No one wants to be around them. Campgrounds don't want them there. Other horse people don't want them there.
And unfortunately, too, they leave a bad stain on the reputation of horse people for
do.
Folks who don't know the community.
Do. And that, ties us into another part of horse etiquette. How do you deal with non-horse people? Mm-hmm. Or if there's non-horse people listening, how do you deal with horse people? Mm-hmm. And, yes, some people just suck. It doesn't matter what kind of conversation you have with them. It doesn't matter how diplomatic you are, how friendly. They just want to be mad about something.
Or they just want what they want and they don't listen.
And and that applies to horse people or non-horse people. Every human is capable of it. So, don't go into every situation thinking they will listen. Some people just flat won't.
No.
Yeah. But what you can do is instead of assuming it's malice, assume ignorance. So if you see someone trying to pet all the horses or trying to feed all the horses, or you see someone constantly sticking their hand in your stall, try to approach it as friendly as possible and say, hey, can you please not do that? Can you please not touch my horse or whatever?
9 times out of 10, if you approach a situation between two groups of people that aren't on the same page, go into it with respect.
With an open mind.
Exactly, with an open mind. Be respectful, be kind, be polite about things. And if the other person or other party genuinely does not know the etiquette or what is right, what is wrong, use that as a learning experience. Teach them. Tell them about why we have certain things or why we don't do certain things to random things.
Exactly. And, yes, there's a little bit of boundaries. Like, you shouldn't just approach strange campsites or strange horses or whatever. But, some people don't understand that. Some people just go, oh, it's a pretty pony. And then kids just don't know. Kids are always pushing boundaries. Kids don't understand them yet.
When it comes to children, it's up to the parents. It's their responsibility.
Yeah.
I
again, it's about being respectful. It's about being polite. It's about saying, instead of, hey, knock it off, it's about going, hey, this is my horse and I really would appreciate if you didn't really touch him. Like, there's a lot of things that can happen. Right now, the really hot topic is the equine herpesvirus that's going around. That's a great reason to tell people, hey, can you please not touch my horse? Can you please not touch my horse after touching other horses? Because it's ignorance. People don't realize how easily things can spread. They don't realize how easily things can happen, how sensitive a horse's system is.
Yeah.
Instead of assuming malice, assume ignorance and try to be respectful and polite and educate. And, a couple of things you can do, because, sometimes you're not going to be there all the time to watch your stall and watch your horse.
No.
You can hang a sign on the front of their stall.
Yeah.
And now hanging a sign can actually do several things. So I've heard of people hanging a sign that says their horse bites, so people don't try to feed or pet it, which is great. Perfect. You are setting up we'll call it liability protection. You've already stated your horse is quote unquote dangerous, whether they are or aren't. So no one can, throw back at you over it. But you can also put signs on the front of your stall for things like if you have a chronic napper, they're always laying down. They're always looking dead.
They look dead. Are they dead?
Yeah.
Your horse is dead in your pasture. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. If that is the case, you can have a sign on your stall that tells people not to worry.
Yeah.
You can have a sign on your stall for emergency contact.
Yes.
If something is happening that you need to know of. So, if you want peace of mind, putting a sign on the front of your stall is fantastic for that.
Yeah. And you can even, if you want a little bit more security or peace of mind, put something scary on the sign. Put images on the sign. Whatever you want.
Yeah, you can get graphic with it, but we've got to learn how to merge two worlds.
Yes.
We've got to learn how to get along and share. And that is things like being polite, having conversations, being open to conversations. I don't want to have conversations. I am about as introverted as they come. I have, the most go away vibe possible. But I will still sit and have a conversation with somebody about my horse because ultimately education, conversations go a long way.
Yeah. And honestly, prime example. At the end of our trail ride a couple weeks ago, we were coming back down the trail and we had to ride on the road. We got passed by a vehicle and this little girl, they rolled down her window and you could tell her face lit up seeing horses so close. She just wanted to pet them, but they were going where they were going. And we keep going down the road for maybe a couple minutes and we see them pulled off to the side in someone's driveway where they were selling firewood. And I knew they stopped because that little girl wanted to see these horses. And it was very clear they were tourists. They, weren't going to be in the area for long. And this was something that she really wanted. And I could see her. I don't know if you saw her. She was jumping up and down.
She was so excited. And then when we got close, she was so shy.
She was so nervous too. And, her parents or guardians, I don't know, they were trying to encourage her to come forward. And we pulled off. We stopped and chit-chatted for maybe 5 minutes. Let her see the horses. Let her pet them. And I guarantee that made that little girl's day. She gave my horse a dandelion that she had picked off the side of the road, and I put it on his bridle. And just moments like that where you can merge and tell people about your horses and merge the two communities of horse people and non-horse people, those are the most magical for everybody
And it
involved.
gives you such an easy way to say, here's how you pet them.
Yes.
Here's how you approach them.
Yes.
It gives you such an easy segue without sounding like a lecturer or an instructor or, you know, super stuck up.
Mm-hmm.
It's things like that. And it's just the way you handle it is just do exactly what we did. Be polite. Be like, yeah, you can pet him. Just keep your hands to his neck or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Stay in front of him. Don't come to the side. Watch his feet. Yeah. Like things like that. It's a prime example of, you know, people wanting to learn, people wanting to engage. They just don't know how, or they're afraid.
Yeah. And, you know, the best thing you can do is understand, like, just be friendly.
Yeah.
Just be understanding that some people don't know any better. And they can't know unless we tell them.
Exactly.
And they're not going to learn if we're rude or disrespectful, because who really wants to listen to someone who's basically telling them they're an idiot and they need to go away?
Yeah, nobody.
Nobody's going to listen to that.
Nobody. And who knows, maybe the person that you go and have these conversations with goes on to become a horse person. So you're just breeding a whole nother generation of horse people.
Hopefully friendlier horse people.
But it's so true. Like there is so much good in the horse community, but it's being drowned out right now by all the negative Nancy's.
It really is. It's really being drowned out by the division.
Yeah.
Show people versus trail riders. People who believe their training methods are the one and only ever training method.
Yeah.
And it's divides like that, as well as horse people and non-horse people on campgrounds. It's those divides that the bigger they become, the harder they are to overcome.
Yes.
And it is those divides we need to get rid of. There is something to learn from everyone.
Well, it's not just getting rid of the division, it's bridging the gap.
It is.
So that you can cross back and forth and you can do whatever you want.
You
merge.
can, like, I am a firm believer, as somebody who rides all disciplines. I do everything. I've shown, I've jumped, I've done dressage, I've gone to obstacle competitions, I've seen mounted shooting, I trail ride, I camp. I do a little bit of everything. And I can tell you right now, I am a better rider for it. My horse is a better horse for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you are having issues with your horse not being brave going up to obstacles or going to new locations, trail riding will be your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a horse who isn't quite sure how to move his body and balance himself, he's a little clumsy, dressage is going to help you. If you have a horse who tends to get a little hard-mouthed, well, go to the Western world a little bit. Really focus in on your seat like you're a reiner, and you won't need to worry about your hands as much.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to learn from everything. And it is all about being willing to have a conversation, being willing to educate and be educated.
Mm-hmm. That's the big one, is being educated. Because there is no way in heck that you can know everything about something. No way.
No, and horses are as varied as they're humans.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, my experience is mostly with puppy dog personalities. My experience is mostly with horses who want to be up my butt and just be around, and they're just happy to be part of the club.
Yeah.
They don't care if we get anywhere fast. They don't care if we're fancy. They are just happy to be there, man. There's snacks, they're good. And, you know, that's what I'm most familiar with. But that means I have to be willing to learn how to handle horses who do want a job, who are hot-headed. I have to be willing to learn those horses. Yeah. Just like Skylar has to be willing to learn the more puppy dog, up your butt, doesn't want to go anywhere fast horses. Because she likes the hotter horses.
I do. I like the ones that are independent and can function by themselves. AKA Willie. But it's a trade-off. I mean, it is.
And it's balance.
Exactly.
So, you know, part of etiquette, whether you're on a campground or whether you're just out and about, is being friendly, educating and being educated. Mm-hmm. Always learning, always growing. So, you know, that's a very small kind of piece of the campgrounds, but we did go on a bit of a tangent because
When don't we?
Right.
When don't we?
But the divide is something worth mentioning.
It is, because it's such a big problem nowadays, and not just in the horse world. We could get more political with it, but we're not, because this is a horse podcast. We're going to talk about horsey things.
And we're going to talk about all the horse people who refuse to consider campgrounds that mix.
Yeah.
Or, consider a campground because, management changed and things are different.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are very, very few places right now to ride.
Mm-hmm.
And we are watching that number shrink fast.
It's going down so quick. I think
we gotta be flexible.
Yeah. I mean, just last year alone, I think 3 campgrounds shut down in the park that we typically go and visit. And that sucked because it's even less of an area to cover in just our local state. Like, that's it. So it's a really scary thing to think about the future and not knowing if these campgrounds are still going to be around or if they're going to even accommodate horses. So it's something that we have to take care of. We have to preserve as best as possible. And the only way that that's going to happen is if we can bridge those gaps between communities and be able to get along together.
Yeah. And, leave no trace, get along, be friendly, have conversations. Don't think you're entitled to something just because you paid X amount of dollars for a site.
Yeah.
Whether you're a horse person or a non-horse person. I know some people that have the mindset of, well, I paid to be here, so I should be allowed to go pet all the horses that are here.
Yeah.
No, the horses are not owned by the campground. They're owned by individual people, and we need to respect those individuals.
It's like walking up to random dogs and petting them. You don't do it.
That's
how you get bit. Or in the horse's case, that's how you get kicked. That's how you get hurt. It's one of those things that people don't realize until they're in a situation where something could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And they have that opportunity to be educated. You have to go about it the right way as to not completely close off that bridge that could be built.
Yeah, you can't burn your materials before the bridge is even built.
Yeah.
I'd say you can't burn a bridge, but if the bridge isn't even built, you're just burning your materials at that point, and you're not allowing yourself any room for anything at that point.
Exactly.
And, that's a little bit of etiquette. That's a little bit of just basic respect.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to another part of operating on campgrounds and knowing kind of how to be prepared with campgrounds. So, we talked a little bit about, how to deal with people, what you should do with your campsites and stalls, clean up after yourself. What are some of the things you can expect at campgrounds, though? I know a lot of people, their first time going out, they're super, super nervous. What can I expect at this particular campground? What should I be ready for? What should my horse be ready for?
Mm-hmm. It all depends on the campground themselves and the location that you're going to.
Yeah, so, a popular one, a very, very popular, is highlining versus hard tying versus being stalled.
Mm-hmm.
This is a popular one because not all campsites have stalls.
No.
Not all campsites allow high lines.
Or being tied to trailers,
yeah,
or hitching rails out there.
So, are you prepared for that? Did you call and ask, can your horse highline?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that in both regards. Can the campground allow it? And can your horse physically highline?
A lot of things. So I worked at a campground for 6+ years, a horseman's campground. And I would get a lot of people call in and ask these questions. What do you allow? What is your policy? What can I do? Those were the big 3, like, hands down. And when people asked this stuff, it was great because you could inform them, hey, this is what we do, or this is what we don't allow. On the other side of that, though, the people that didn't ask and just assumed that they could do something without properly reading into the policies or
and that boils back to entitlement.
Yes.
And no.
Yeah.
When you go to an Airbnb, you don't expect to just be allowed to treat the house however you want. You expect there to be rules. You expect there to be like hey, please don't put such and such in the fridge. Please don't turn this off. Like, it's no different when you campground people.
Yeah.
So
you are paying to stay at a place that is not yours.
yes.
So you have to treat it respectfully and abide by their rules because they have the rules for a reason.
Yeah, and I understand why some may not allow high lining.
Mm-hmm.
They may not allow hard tying to a trailer or a hitching rail because some horses can't handle it. And some owners don't accept that.
Yes. That is another thing, is there was a lot of cases at the campground that I worked where people's horses either couldn't be in a stall and would flip out, or they couldn't be left at a hitching rail, or they'd flip out. And there were so many things that they didn't convey with the campground or ask and all that. And it became a problem. And if they would have taken the time...
And it can become incredibly dangerous,
Exactly.
too.
I cannot tell you how many horses got loose because of problems being tied or in the stall, etc.
Yeah.
Heck, I had a horse try to climb out of a trailer one time because this horse would not load. And that was scary. So that's a big thing to bring up, is know your horse. What your horse is comfortable with, what they are acceptable of,
and what they can't accept.
Can't do.
Like, if you have a gelding, who I say gelding, but they can be any variation of part completion. Because we all know sometimes just because it looks like a gelding doesn't mean it is one.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they think they are.
Yeah. It's know your horse when you're going to a campground. If you know it's a busier campground, if you know it's going to be harder to keep your mare separate from males, or your geldings or your stallions from the mares, if you know it's going to be harder to separate genders like that, maybe that campground's not a great fit.
Yeah.
Because not every horse likes other horses.
Exactly. And that's another thing, too. There were so many horses that if there's a big stall where it's like just one line of stalls next to each other, your horse could be stalled next to another horse, and they may not like each other. Be prepared for stuff like that. And,
sometimes horses want to fight through the stall walls. Sometimes I've seen proud cut geldings try to climb fences, try to go through walls for mares.
Mm-hmm.
Even if a stallion will, absolutely, most people expect that of stallions. But people don't realize even a gelding can do it.
Yeah.
So those are all things you have to take into consideration. How does your horse tie? How does your horse act in a stall? How does your horse act around other horses?
Mm-hmm.
I know some horses that are like, oh my goodness, you're in the same zip code and you're breathing. That's unacceptable. The world is going to end and I will burn it all down.
Red mare ears pig.
Yeah. Sometimes you get ones like that. Are you aware and accepting of that fact?
Yeah. How well do you know your horse?
Yeah. As a responsible horse owner, you need to be accepting of the good, bad, and ugly of your horse. Some horses don't tie. That's fine. Just be prepared.
Treat it like a show, like you would a show. Bringing your horse around all these different horses. It's the exact same thing, except you're camping. You're staying overnight. You're doing other things, etc.
And you're often, if you're at a show, you're typically close to a vet.
Yeah.
If you're camping, remember, you're not.
No, you are the horse's first responder.
Yeah.
That's about it.
And how much can you handle?
Yes.
If something actually happens.
Or another really good thing is, does the campground have a contact for a vet, a farrier, whatever, you name it? Those are great questions to call in and ask. 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you if they do, or if they don't, they'll find out. And they'll have that information on catalog for the future.
And they absolutely should. So, if you're going to a campground, be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Ask questions, understand their rules, their expectations, their policies.
Ask for maps. Ask for advice on places to see, things to do.
Yeah, campgrounds want you to enjoy your time as much as you want to enjoy your time.
Oh, yeah.
Communicate. Be friendly, be polite, be respectful, have conversations.
Bridge those gaps.
Yeah. And some of the things, like going back a little bit to what your horse encounters at a campground, knowing whether they tie or whether they stall, whether they corral, whether they can handle other horses. Can they handle screaming children? Can they handle dogs? Can they handle the craziness of a campground?
The craziness of humans.
Yeah. Campfires, tents, tarps, canopies, like string lights.
Porta potties.
Yeah.
Dumpsters.
We did scare both our boys with the dumpster.
That was pretty funny. We were attempting to throw trash away in the dumpster, and
the lid got stuck.
The lid got stuck on the other lid, and it slammed shut, and they were like, whoa!
To be fair, it scared the human as well.
It scared me. I jumped.
Yeah, I was... all four of us spooked, humans and horse alike.
Yeah. It was an unprepared sound.
It very much was. But are you prepared for that?
Yeah, there's gonna be oopsies. There's gonna be accidents, spills, and thrills, and everything else that you could think of.
Can your horse handle that?
Can you handle that?
Yeah. Now, a big thing before we end this episode that we would like to touch on, and it's campground etiquette. If you have a dog,
oh my gosh,
under no circumstances should your dog ever be off leash.
Please, for the love of everything holy and nice and sweet in this world, keep your dog or pet. I've seen cats and birds and you name it, rabbits. Please just keep them on a lead, keep them on a tether, keep them tied.
Keep them right at your campground, not next to. At.
Yes.
Either put them in the trailer, put them in a crate, put them in the camper, tie them right outside the camper door. They should never, ever, ever be free roaming.
I don't care how well of a recall your pet has or how well behaved they are, that they stay next to you. Just put them on a lead. For the sake of you and everybody else around you. And 9 times out of 10, every campground will have a policy to keep your pet on a lead.
And I believe that if you do not follow that rule, you should be banned from the campground. Yeah. Now, let me list a couple of reasons, and I will make them as gory as possible because this is not something Skylar or I mess around with.
No.
So, what can happen if your dog is off lead? First off, your dog is a predator. Mm-hmm. I don't care how good his recall is. If he sees something that triggers that prey drive, that triggers his nose, whatever, your recall will not matter. All it takes is one thing to pique a dog's interest enough.
A horse to spook and run. You name it.
It doesn't matter. Your dog's recall is never 100% because they are a predator. They are made to chase, to go after.
Now, the perfect storm. Horses are prey animals. Their first instinct is to run away. 9 times out of 10, the incidents I saw personally working at the campground were pets off leash and horses spooking and running. That's where issues started.
Now, what happens if that happens? Best case scenario, your dog goes in the woods. A couple hours later, you find them, they come back. Worst case scenario, your dog gets trampled, kicked, and or killed by a horse. Your dog gets hit by a car. You see someone else's horse get hit by a car because of your negligence, which can then incur bills. If people care more about financials, it could easily kill your dog. If your dog, even if they don't go after a horse, even if they don't get hit by a car, they can go after a wild animal and they can get killed by a bear, by hanging themselves on their collar, by drowning, by injury.
Yep.
You are risking your dog's life, other people's lives, their animals' lives when you allow your dogs off leash. So, if you want to be completely flippant and negligent and not care one whit about other creatures,
other beings,
then yeah, keep letting your dog off lead.
Yeah,
yes.
Just disregard whatever camp policy.
Don't be surprised when you receive bills, when you get sued because you put other things at risk.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised when you get banned or reprimanded or have your dog taken away.
Yes. I cannot tell you how many stray dogs I have found or been a part of catching when I lived and worked at that Horseman's campground. Just because the area was a very tourist-heavy area. People would go there with their pets all the time. Their pet would either be off lead and get away, or would slip the lead or slip the collar, or they would just pull away from their owners and be gone.
Yeah.
It's horrible to see.
We understand accidents happen.
Yeah.
Some dogs are weasels, and I have seen them get spooked and weasel out of their collar. Those are not the people we're referring to. Unless you purposely didn't tighten your dog's collar and didn't care about your dog's fears. But I understand accidents do sometimes happen, and sometimes our animals get away from us, regardless of everything we've done.
Yeah.
Accidents happen. Those are not what we are referring to.
We're talking to purposefully disregarding a rule or something because you feel like you don't have to abide by it.
Yes. We are referring specifically to the people who are
entitled,
self-centered, selfish.
Don't care about the consequences.
Yeah. No, they don't. We are speaking directly at those people because those are the people endangering everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, come on, sometimes it's not a life or death situation, no. But if you're at a campground and your neighbor is scared of dogs, are you going to be that big of a jerk that you're going to let your dog off lead? I take my dog to the store with me. She goes everywhere with me. I have had someone say to me, hey, can you back up a little bit because I'm scared of dogs? Fantastic. My dog's 40 pounds. She's not that scary, but I will absolutely respect your wishes and move my dog behind me and give you a little bit more space because that is the respectful, responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
Someone else's fear, someone else's worry is not necessarily your responsibility, but you don't have to be a jerk.
You shouldn't disregard somebody's fear.
You shouldn't. No. It's not like this lady was asking me to remove my dog from the store. It's not like she was asking me to walk away completely. Mm-hmm. She just said, hey, I'm a little scared of dogs. I would just like a little bit more space. Fantastic. I will give you all the space in the world.
Yeah. I mean, and going off of that too, sometimes you can use it as a way for them to kind of start to get over their fear. My little cousin, he was bit and attacked by a dog. He was scared to death of dogs. And this could also translate into horses too. If someone falls off a horse, they could be terrified of horses.
There are some people that may tell you hey, do you mind making sure not to bring your horse so close to me or so close to my campground? I'm really nervous around them.
Yeah.
Cool, great. You're respectful. I can be respectful.
Exactly. And you can even offer them an opportunity. Hey, I understand you're afraid. Would you like to approach? And I can show you what to do and how to do it.
Do you have any questions? Is there some way we can make this more comfortable for you?
Exactly.
And it's bridging the gap. It's having a conversation. It is being polite and respectful.
I hate that we have to talk about this.
It is really annoying.
It's frustrating.
It is. But, again, I think some of it's just plain ignorance. They aren't, horses aren't an everyday sight anymore.
No, they're not. Which sucks.
It does, but they are expensive and land is quickly dwindling.
Yeah.
So, I get it. And we got to bridge the gap. We got to educate. We got to be willing to be educated. Mm-hmm. Every human needs to be open and
understanding. Yeah. A little sympathetic. It goes so far.
Yes, it does. And no, we shouldn't have to cater to everybody's whim. But if someone is a little nervous, if they are a little afraid, and they are respectful, and they ask you, hey, can you please bear this in mind? Be respectful back and say, yes, absolutely. Some people, they love to trail ride with their horses. They love to camp with their horses. But some horses do have dog trauma.
Mm-hmm. Just like people can have trauma, so can horses.
If that horse person says, hey, I'm getting ready to ride through here, but my horse is terrified of dogs. Do you mind holding him, putting him in the camper? Be willing to do that. It's not the end of the universe.
No.
It is moving your dog aside for 10 seconds or moving your horse aside if somebody's afraid for 10 seconds out of your entire day.
Yeah.
Bridge the gap, have a conversation, be respectful, be polite, clean up after yourself, leave no trace.
Mm-hmm.
The only trace you should be leaving behind at a campground
are memories.
And good memories. Friendly memories. Skylar and I have been a couple of places with our horses now, and when we go to Caesar's Creek, that's actually a great example of non-horse people in a horsey area. There are so many non-horse people that camp at the horse campground. Mm-hmm. And how many times have we stopped and had conversations with horse people and non-horse people alike?
Yeah. So many.
Yeah. We've had people ask, hey, can we pet your horse? Yeah. We've offered to have people pet our horses because we'll see, a little kid that's just bouncing up and down and he's super interested, super excited. And we'll say, hey, you want to come pet the horse? It's bridging the gap. It's being friendly. And again, I am not the most sociable person. Skylar can attest to it. She has told me numerous times, dude, you look like you're gonna kill someone. Can you just smile a little bit?
Just show a little smile. No, not with teeth.
Right. I am not a sociable person. I despise any gathering above like 3 people. Mm-hmm. And I still will go out of my way to make people comfortable around horses, to be respectful.
Yeah. That's the only way we're going to get anything accomplished nowadays is being respectful, respecting boundaries, and hoping that it will be reciprocated.
Yes. So this was a long episode and it kind of bounced, but these were all very important topics and they were all very much inspired by our latest trip, which we had good experiences on this trip.
Really good experiences.
Cars slowed down. People stopped to talk to us.
We didn't even talk about that. Vehicles. God, there's so much to unpack. It's so hard. There is,
but we kind of really did get caught up on the just be respectful, bridge a gap, have a conversation.
The core of what this episode is about.
Yeah, because it's that is the horse industry's biggest downfall is people don't want to get into horses because there's so much gatekeeping. People are so terrified to ask for help with their horses because there's so much judgment and criticism. Mm-hmm. And, you know, some people have this mentality of if you don't have X amount of dollars at every time in your bank account, you can't own a horse.
Yeah.
Well, if that was what we lived by, no one would own a horse, I'm sorry to say.
Nope.
So, you know, just train your horses, train yourselves, be open, be friendly, leave no trace.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Be grateful.
Be grateful, be understanding, and bridge those gaps.
Yeah. So
we hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and we cannot wait to see you next week. Keep in mind, we're still looking for people to talk about Tales from the Trails. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear your experiences, the good, the bad, the funny, all of it. So feel free to send those in. We cannot wait to start reading them off. We hope you enjoyed this week's topic. Join us for new episodes every Sunday. And to keep up with the herd, be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Highline Herd and visit our website at thehighlineherd.com. We hope you enjoy the show. See you next week.